What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, today I just want to drop a few seeds about emotional intelligence and allowing emotions to cook so that they can make room for clarity to come, to happen, versus being an inconvenience that's sitting in your energetic field and continue to hunt. Appreciate you joining in, appreciate you clicking on the video. Hope you get something out of it today. Letting emotions cook. All right, for those of us who are genuinely on a spiritual, I ain't gonna say spiritual journey, but just on a genuine healing journey, a lot of us, especially if it's been over months, you know, and years, then if you've been locked in that long with yourself, you know that there's things that we have agreed to subconsciously, and things that we have been acting out that we don't necessarily believe in, and that's, you know, that comes in the form of friendships, relationships, jobs, different things that we have associated ourselves with that no longer serves us. What I think we take for granted or not give as much credence or attention to is that our emotional body, our emotional reality also has these same associations. Like, we may associate love with a very toxic relationship that we had in the past, and in order to survive certain, you know, relationships or emotional realities, we framed things. We frame things in order to deal with them. What I mean by framing, for those that don't know, is just, let's say somebody disrespects me, or I had a pattern where I felt like people disrespected me a lot. I would say people do this to me because they be jealous of me, right? Now, that could very well be the case. So for you know, if that is something, if I touch something there, but every time, you know what I'm saying, like, it's like that me telling myself that may have nothing to do with what's actually going on. It is what I used to keep myself feeling sane, feeling okay, feeling like I didn't do something wrong, or from feeling the darkest parts of what that situation, that emotion, like somebody fucking with me, brought up in me. All right, so when I'm talking about letting emotions cook, like in this healing journey, like I say, you've been on it for months, years, you know that sometimes, because now that you have an opening, now that you are open to feeling what you feel and processing things and allowing openness internal, and, you know, sometimes you have emotional waves come up for no reason. I like to believe that this stuff comes up to be healed, to be finished off, meaning to, like, truly be processed now that there's a space for it. And letting it cook is once these emotions come up and they start to kind of trigger a darker space in you, to where it's like it's deeply uncomfortable, or your mind just kind of start blacking out or trying to do something to avoid it. You know, for one, you know, I encourage you to be aware of that. Like, notice that that's going on. Like, we have something going on, and it's causing us to not want to deal with it. And what I want to submit to you, the seed I want to drop, is most times that thing on the other side of it, let's say it's shame, because shame was a big one for me, and I think shame is one for a lot of people. Let's say what's on the other side of the thing that we're not trying to feel, that we kind of like trying to avoid, is shame. Um, what I want to submit, the seed I want to drop is, it's never as scary as our mind perceives it to be. And I don't mean that in a Hallmark way or just like a cheesy, like regurgitating. Like, it's never as deep as we perceive that it's gonna be. It's an uncomfortable feeling. And one thing that has really allowed me to heal a lot, and if you are not here, if you're not at the place where you want to do this, I don't even encourage or push you to go forward in that. But if this is something you're looking for, and this is like where you are, that shame is just something that needs to be felt. It's just something that needs to be felt. Like, it needs to, like, land in your presence and you let it cook. The avoidance actions, like, put them to the side and allow that discomfort in your system. It's gonna try to move you because it's unfamiliar. But the thing about it, y'all, once it's cooking in your system, there's gonna be some things that happen. A lot of times those feelings that we don't want to feel, and this is shadow work, by the way. This is shadow work. This is what's considered in spiritual circles a shadow work. But as you feel that a lot of shit is happening, for one, your nervous system is recalibrating because you're having an experience internally that you don't always allow yourself to have, and so it's raising your ground. Two, this is actually where healing actually happens, when you are actually sitting with things that you couldn't sit with before. You are allowing space for things to exist within you. Three, in just you allowing it in your space, there's a different relationship that's being created with that emotion. I'd say healed, very healed, and that unshakable presence comes from you being able to allow any emotion to come and it just doesn't move you off your center. It's not that you don't feel it, it's not that it's not disturbing, it's not that it's not uncomfortable. It's just that it doesn't move you off your center. You can allow yourself to be in that space, even if it's very consuming. Like, you're still present in it. It's not, you're not avoiding, or you're not blacking out, disassociating yourself. With the experience, basically, like, negating its reality. But what I find is, underneath those experiences, there are gifts. Like, maybe shame is holding back some of your expression. Maybe shame is holding back some of your autonomy and your personal authority. You know what I mean? It's gifts underneath different. Like, shame is not the only one. Sometimes, like, for a lot of men, it's hurt. A lot of men don't want to feel hurt, and a lot of men walk around with a lot of hurt inside, sadness. It's a bunch of different emotions, and they have other things inside of them. But letting your emotions cook is just giving them the space they deserve. Maybe some emotions are inconvenient, and they are. Some of them are. Sometimes you're gonna have stuff come up that's gonna last for days. Sometimes there's gonna be stuff that lasts for weeks. Sometimes it's gonna be a grief that is in your system that you didn't allow to feel. But that's where real healing happens. That's where healing gets real. And that part of healing, I feel like it's not out there as much because it's not so attractive. But that's the real shit. That's the real work. Like, there's no getting past that. It's not just, oh, I'm journaling every day. I'm journaling now. I'm writing about this. I'm lighting candles. I'm spending time in nature. And, okay, that's a part of it, and that's a beautiful part. Don't get me wrong. I love that, but that's not the heavy part. That's not the dark part. That's not the meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes is sitting with those heavy emotions, sitting with those uncomfortable parts of ourselves that we would rather keep tucked away. And then after that, which is a video for another time, is making room and allowances for that those parts of ourselves that we tucked away, to have expression in our life. Not to take over our life, but to give them room to start catching up with the adult that we are. If that makes sense, you know. So yeah, man, that's the message. Let those emotions cook and allow them to create an opening in you where clarity can happen of its own. You know, be careful about framing situations to make yourself feel better. A lot of times that's coping. Sometimes we need that. If that's what you gotta do, we gotta do what we gotta do. But if you have the capacity and the ability, and you've created enough space in yourself, you know, by letting things go, letting people go, letting things go that no longer serve you, and now you have room to sit with these uncomfortable feelings, because they gonna come up and visit. The opportunities is when they come up and visit. When they come up and visit, you know, let it cook a little bit, and if you can allow it, because it's gonna do multiple times. Because I feel like we're very layered. Emotions are very layered, but as it keeps coming up, and your response keeps being one that's open, like, okay, you can come, okay, and you just allowing yourself to feel it. The good thing about emotional intelligence is, and the hard thing too, is that you don't have to rationalize it like I used to do. I always do. You don't have to always rationalize what you're feeling and why it's there. Just feel it. Just allow it to be in a space. Let it cook, and it's gonna move. It's gonna move, and when it moves, it's gonna release so much trapped energy inside of your being that's going to start to bring insight into situations that you've experienced, insight into yourself, hint, clarity. All this stuff is going to allow it to happen, and that's what, like, after that compounds so much, that's where that true transformation and healing actually, you know, comes from. And cultivating that energy, then I think, is where the lighting the candles and journaling and, you know, I mean, however you do it, you know, sometimes you tap into talents that you didn't know you had. So this is very specific. It's for a very specific part of a journey, and I hope you got some out of the message today. So if you did, hit that like button. Let me know if you feel so obliged. But other than that, that's it, man. So whether today is a rough day or a great day, whether you're struggling to make ends meet or you're at the pinnacle of your success, either way, the greatest place that you can come from is right where you are. Not perfect, just real. Alright? Wish you peace, love, and abundance every single day, but especially on the days that it rains. And with that, I'm signing out. Peace.